Long before Sega found success with a blue-haired hedgehog named Sonic, they flirted with mascot characters like Wonder Boy and Alex Kidd. We talked about the convoluted history of Wonder Boy back in May when I reviewed Asha in Monster World, so it only seems fair to follow that up by looking at the brand new remake of Alex Kidd in Miracle World. This is a loving tribute to a 35-year-old classic with beautiful new pixel graphics and the welcome ability to switch back and forth between the old game and the new game at any time. It's almost everything that I wanted Asha in Monster World to be. There's just one problem. I can't stand playing this game. In today's review, we're gonna find out if a great remake can make up for a bad game. First released back in 1986, Alex Kidd in Miracle World marked the world's first taste of Sega's martial arts loving mascot hero. Over the next few years, Alex Kidd would wind up in a total of 6 different games, most of which found a home on the 8-bit Master System. This was Sega's answer to Super Mario, and they were so confident that this adventure in Miracle World would drive sales that they ended up using it as a pack-in game and eventually built it into the Master System hardware. For many gamers who bought into Sega's 8-bit vision, Alex Kidd was the first character that they saw. Now, this brand new version of the game is what I would call a shot-for-shot remake. Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX offers the exact same level designs, all of the same power-ups, the same bosses, and even the same exact gameplay. The big difference is the presentation. Instead of using rudimentary 8-bit graphics that can only display a few colors at a time, this remake fills the screen with gorgeous pixel graphics that simultaneously give it more of a modern look and honors the 2D spirit of the original. Of course, seeing that this is a direct remake, you shouldn't be too surprised when I tell you that the story remains the same. This is a side-scrolling platformer that finds martial arts expert Alex Kidd get his punch on when Janken the Great threatens to take over the Redaxian region and turn everybody into stone. This is precisely what Alex has been preparing for. So he fights, swims, and even pilots a helicopter through 17 challenging stages filled with snakes, scorpions, wizards, and a surprising number of bosses that want to settle their differences playing rock, paper, scissors. Now, as an action hero, Alex Kidd really only has one move. He punches. In order to take out the enemies, he has to walk right up to them and give them a good smack. He can also use his punching skills to destroy rocks and find money bags and other hidden items. As he makes his way through the forests, and deserts, mountains, and volcanoes, our hero will be able to spend that money on power-ups and vehicles such as helicopters and motorbikes. There are a lot of interesting ideas here that you don't see in a lot of old-school platformers. Some of them work, but a lot of them don't. Look, because this review is gonna turn negative in a moment, I first want to applaud Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX for getting the remake part of it right. If you were a fan of the game growing up, then the developer has done an excellent job recreating the levels, the gameplay, and yeah, the boss fights. This is the best Alex Kidd has ever looked, and I think that most people will agree that the lavish presentation is the best part of this remake. I also love that you can switch between the new graphics and the original game at just the push of a button, no matter where you are or what you're doing. That's a cool feature, and I want to see more of that in these types of remakes. I had a lot of fun jumping back and forth comparing the old school graphics with the shiny new visuals. The problem is that Alex Kidd in Miracle World has not held up particularly well in the last 35 years. If you've never played the original, then you'll most likely be surprised by how this game controls. Alex is a frustrating combination of being a little bit too fast and a little bit too imprecise. Two things that you don't want when jumping on tiny platforms is the whole goal of the game. I never felt in full control over the character to the point where I would die doing the most basic platforming tasks. It doesn't help that our hero is so fragile. It seems that he'll die simply by being in the area of a bad guy, which is made so much worse when you see how limited his punch range is. You're forced to get up close and personal in every situation, yet penalized for doing just that. In fact, the game is so punishingly difficult that every single continue screen suggests turning on the infinite life option. For the record, I didn't. Now, beyond being incredibly difficult to control, Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX also carries over a lot of the more outdated concepts. There are a few that I could rant about, but the most glaring one has to be the whole rock, paper, scissors boss fights, which pop up a handful of times. This is exactly what it sounds like, a one-on-one battle where you play rock, paper, scissors against the computer. It's a novel enough idea, but the problem should be fairly obvious. Because we're playing against a computer opponent, we're left in a situation where the only thing we can do is guess. Maybe you'll get lucky, maybe you'll lose, or who knows, maybe the two of you will make the exact same hand gesture. Let me tell you, there are few things in this world that are more frustrating than surviving an insanely tough stage only to lose a rock, paper, scissors competition to a computer opponent. That's bad design. On the other hand, I can actually respect that they simply recreated the original game with updated graphics and music. If I were a die-hard fan that memorized every inch of Miracle World, then I might be a little bit miffed if the developer had made sweeping changes. Honestly, I can respect the dedication that they had, but I do wish that a lot of these outdated elements had been improved with the visuals. The game would have been so much better if just Alex Kidd controlled like any other 2D platformer, or the hit detection had been tweaked a little bit, or the boss fights were more about skill than luck. I also would have preferred the developer to make a whole new game in the Alex Kidd series, or if they absolutely must remake an old game, slap a new coat of paint on the far superior Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. What we're left with is a great remake of a bad game. This one is only for the old school fans. As a remake, Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX is almost everything that I want from this type of project. It has a gorgeous new pixel look, cool bonus modes, and the ability to switch between the new and old look at the push of a button. Had the developers remade a better 2D platformer, then they really would have been onto something. Unfortunately, much like the 1986 original, Alex Kidd in Miracle World is a frustrating side-scroller with terrible gameplay, tons of cheap deaths, and way too many boss fights that devolve into rock, paper, scissors competition. If you grew up loving Alex Kidd, then this is the best version of Miracle World that you'll ever see. Everybody else should probably just stick with Sonic. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What should Sega do with Alex Kidd? Do you want to see more of these remakes? Maybe a new game? Perhaps a radical reboot? I want to see your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with a Game Over episode looking at the complete Alex Kidd franchise. All of it. Do any of the games have good endings? Well, I guess we're about to find out. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.